You're competent. You deliver. You show up. And yet when decisions get made, your name doesn't come up. Not because you're bad at what you do, because you've trained people to see you as a resource, not a decision maker. Here's what nobody tells you. Respect in business isn't earned through work quality. It's assigned through perceived cost. When someone can access you easily, predict your availability, and know you'll say yes, you've become cheap, not in price, in positioning. The person who responds in 2 minutes gets less respect than the person who responds in 2 days, because urgency signals replaceability. You think you're being professional? You're actually training the market to devalue you. Most people optimize for being liked, being helpful, being the reliable one. These are not business virtues. These are employee traits. And if you're not employed, you've just volunteered for a permanent assistant role in other people's operations. Watch who gets taken seriously. It's never the most available person. It's the person whose time feels finite, whose attention feels rationed, whose no you've actually heard. Scarcity isn't a tactic. It's a signal. It tells people whether you have options, and if they sense you don't, the conversation is already over. Here's the pattern. You over-explain. When someone questions your price, your timeline, your process, you justify. You educate. You try to bring them along. This is you negotiating against yourself. Serious people don't explain. They state. They frame their constraints as facts, not requests. I can do
Boundary is
this,
set.
but it
You
starts in
stop
March.
here.
Not, I'm pretty booked, but if you really need it
Oh,
sooner,
come on.
maybe I can. The moment you offer flexibility you didn't want to give, you've told them you don't actually have boundaries, just preferences you'll abandon under pressure. You think rapport builds trust. Sometimes it does the opposite. When you're too friendly, too accommodating, too eager to fill silence, people stop seeing you as a peer. They see you as someone trying to earn a seat. Status isn't about being cold. It's about being comfortable with tension. The person who can let a question sit, who doesn't rush to smooth over an awkward pause, who doesn't need to be liked in every interaction, that person gets treated differently because they're not managing the other person's comfort. They're managing the frame. You're probably not charging enough, but that's not the problem. The problem is you're charging what feels fair to you, what feels justified by the hours you'll put in, what won't make you feel guilty. This is emotional pricing, and it marks you as someone who doesn't understand how value works. Value isn't your effort, it's their alternative. If hiring you prevents a $50,000 mistake, your price isn't about your time. It's about their risk. But you can't access that frame if you're still thinking like someone who trades hours for dollars. Here's what happens when you're not taken seriously. People pick your brain. They want to hop on a quick call. They ask if you've got a minute, and you say yes because it feels rude not to, because maybe it'll lead somewhere. It won't. These people aren't vetting you. They're extracting you. They've already decided you're not expensive enough to require a meeting structure, not busy enough to guard your calendar, not important enough to prepare for. You're giving away the preview, and they're deciding they don't need the show. You've been taught that expertise is the answer. Get better at your craft, improve your skills, deepen your knowledge, and then you meet someone less skilled than you, making more money, with worse clients who respect them more. It's disorienting. It feels unfair. But they're not better at the work. They're better at the transaction. They've learned something you're still avoiding. People don't buy competence. They buy certainty. And certainty comes from how you hold the conversation, not what you put in the portfolio. Let's talk about how you schedule. When someone asks if you're free Tuesday, you check your calendar and report back, yes, I'm open. You think you're being helpful. You're actually being subordinate. Your calendar shouldn't be a factual document they get to audit. It should be a constraint they have to work around. I've got a window Thursday at 2 o'clock is not the same as I'm free whenever. One is a person with a structure. The other is a person waiting to be structured. Here's the uncomfortable part. You might be making it too easy to say no to you. When you present options, when you ask what they're comfortable with, when you position yourself as flexible, you've made rejecting you low stakes. People don't take risks on low stakes decisions. They go with safe, cheap, easy. If you want to be taken seriously, The decision to work with you has to feel like it matters. Not because you're arrogant, because you've made it clear, this is the offer. You're not molding it to fit their indecision. The people who waffle, who need to think about it, who want to circle back, they were never bought in. You just gave them permission to stay uncertain. You're also probably too available emotionally. You care if they like you. You track their tone. You notice when they're short with you, and you adjust. This is costing you. Serious people don't manage other people's feelings about them in real time. They trust that their work and their word will speak. When you're constantly reading the room, recalibrating, softening, you're signaling that their approval is your currency. And once someone knows that, they've got leverage. Not because they're cruel, because humans instinctively test boundaries. And you've just shown them where yours dissolve. Let's address the thing you've been wondering. Is this just about confidence? No. Confidence without structure is just noise. Loud people get ignored too. What you're missing is congruence. Your words say you're a professional, but your availability says you're desperate. Your pricing says you're uncertain. Your flexibility says you don't have other options. People don't listen to what you say. They listen to what your behavior implies. And if there's a gap between your positioning and your actions, they'll believe the actions. Every time. Here's what shifts when you're taken seriously. People prepare for you. They don't wing the meeting. They don't show up casual. They've thought about what they need to say to keep you engaged, because they've registered, even subconsciously, that your time has a threshold, that you're evaluating them as much as they're evaluating you. This doesn't happen because you demand it. It happens because you've made it clear through 1,000 micro decisions. You're not chasing this. And the moment someone senses you're not chasing, the power dynamic inverts. They start selling you. You stop selling them. You've been in conversations where you left thinking, that went well, and then nothing happened. That's because going well and going somewhere are not the same thing. A good conversation makes both people feel comfortable. A serious conversation makes both people feel committed. If they can leave the interaction without a next step, without something on the line, without a decision point, you just had a nice chat. Nice chats don't turn into deals. You need to be willing to let the conversation end badly, to not get the client, to have them walk away uncomfortable, because comfort is where transactions die. Here's the part that's hard to accept. Some of this is about how you see yourself. If you secretly believe you're still proving yourself, people will sense it. If you're waiting for permission to charge more, to say no, to set terms, you'll never get it. Permission doesn't come from the market. It comes from you deciding the trial period is over. You're not emerging. You're not on your way. You're here, right now. This is the version. And if you don't believe that, you'll keep pricing, positioning, and behaving like someone who's not ready yet. The market will agree with you. Let's talk about what changes when you stop accommodating. First, fewer opportunities, and that will scare you. But the opportunities you lose were never real. They were maybe situations. Let me think about it, clients. People who wanted to see if you'd bend. When you stop bending, those disappear. And what's left are the people who were already ready, who have budget, who have urgency, who don't need their hand held. You'll do less. You'll make more. You'll feel clearer. Not because you got better at your work, because you stopped negotiating with people who weren't serious. One more thing, stop using their language. When a client says, I need this done, and you say, I can help with that, you've just positioned yourself as support. Try, I do that. Here's how it works. When they say, what's your rate? And you explain your pricing structure, your packages, your justification, you're defending. Try, it's X dollars. Let me know if you want to move forward. These feel like small shifts. They're not. Every time you match their frame, you're confirming the hierarchy they've assumed. You're the expert. You set the terms. They decide if it fits, not the other way around. So here's what you're actually dealing with. You're competent enough to get in the room, but not positioned well enough to control it. You're good at the work, but you're bad at the transaction. And the transaction is where respect is assigned. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about stopping the behaviors that tell people you're still auditioning. You don't need to be louder, or colder, or more aggressive. You need to be less available, less accommodating, less concerned with whether they like you. Because the version of you that everyone likes is the version no one takes seriously. The respect you want is on the other side of the comfort you're clinging to. You already know what you need to stop doing.